Vicky Marie. Oh, well, we needed a bit of calming music after the craziness of following the case of poor Sebastian Rogers. I never thought I would say it, but it's almost nice tonight to talk about the Nicola Bully case a little bit, because it actually, following Sebastian Rogers' missing persons case, has been even more rabbit holes, going down even more rabbit holes, even more mysteries, even more can't get to the bottom of what's really going on, even more than the Nicola Bully case. So today's been one of those days. It's also been a day for lots of dramatic news, isn't there? You know, like the guy in London who's run amok with what looks like a machete to me, to be honest. I probably will do some sort of coverage of that tomorrow, because I already had this planned. There's just been all sorts. The news has just been full. There's so much dramatic news everywhere. You know, but I'd already, this video that we're going to look at tonight, we're going to look at obviously a very well-known case, a case that you all know, of course, the case of Nicola Bully. We're going to look at the official inquest summary that has come directly from the coroner. And we're also going to look a little bit at the inquest of Ewelina Sassak. Now, Evelyn, let's have a look at some pictures first of all. I mean, I know I don't have to remind you what Nicola Bully looks like, I'm sure. But here is Nicola. This is a lovely picture. She's playing Kaplunk by the looks of it, but with one of her children. And then, of course, we're going to look at the inquest for Ewelina Sassak. And Ewelina, there's a connection, isn't there, between Nikki and Ewelina? Because Ewelina worked at the vets where Nicola used to take Willow, you know, in that same area. But then, for some unknown reason, Ewelina, after Nicola had died, after Nicola Bully, and for those, just in case there's anyone there who doesn't know anything about Nicola Bully, Nicola Bully disappeared while walking her dog, didn't she? And then she was found 3 weeks later in the river. But there was a lot of, I mean, I couldn't even start to go into it here. But I've done, you know, probably nearly 200 videos about the Nicola Bully case. It had that many twists and turns, that many unanswered questions, you know, so if you want to know more about Nicola Bully, you need to really look at my playlist for Nicola Bully. So literally 2 minutes before I was about to go live, which it's been so quiet, and it's like they know, the neighbours know, or my little village, they know in my little village, a banger went off and it's made the dog all nervous. So it's just every time, maybe they just do it at 8 o'clock. Well, it's not 8 o'clock actually, it's 9 o'clock, but here in Spain. Anyway, so yeah, then after all the thing happened with Nicola, then Ewelina had some sort of a mental breakdown, according to the inquest. Although not far from where Nicola went missing, and died, because Nicola's body was found 3 weeks later. Ewelina said that people were following her. A group of at least 10 people were following her. She was terrified for her life. She seemed to have some sort of mental breakdown, if you believe what happened, you know, what the inquest finding was. She got on a train. She went to the Staunton Hotel in London, booked herself in, and then apparently deleted herself by stabbing herself. Initially, the police thought she had been attacked by somebody, but it was found at the inquest that it was actually self-deletion. So we're going to look at that as well. So yeah, these two cases. Now this this video that we're going to look at, it's edited from a members live. I talked about this a few weeks ago on a members live. And I've been meaning to edit it and put it out publicly ever since, but everything's just been so crazy with with mainly the Sebastian Rogers case that I just haven't had a chance to do it. So I'm doing it tonight. So some of you who are members, you may have seen this, but of course it was quite a few weeks ago and you've slept since then. So I'm sure you don't remember everything that was in that video. But this is what we're going to look at. Anyway, first of all, I'm just going to say hello to everybody. Hi, Chumba. Hi, Ruth, alias Gary. Hope you're feeling better now. Hey, hi, Tracy. Hi, Julie. Hi, David. You like the new intro, Julie? Good. Yeah, we needed a bit of calming music, Charlie, tonight. Hi, Charlie. Hi, DMV. Julie used to... I've never heard of Hainault. I literally have never heard of it. If somebody would have said to me, where is Hainault? Sounds foreign, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like an English name. Hi, Simon. Hi, Heather. Hi, Chris. Chris, new member, thank you for joining. Hi, Ocean. Hi, Teresa. Thank you, Ocean. Yeah, please hit the like button. Hi, Mandy. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. I am. I'm a lot better now. Thank you. Anyway, at the end of this video, we might have a little look at the Hainault incident. But I want to start off, I want to do this, talk about this because I've been meaning to do it for so long. Now, I don't really know London, so having said that, I know there's a lot of places in London that I would know the name of them. But Hainault or Hainault, I'm probably not even saying it right, but I don't know it, you know, so... Anyway, Chris has become a member. Thank you, Chris. We'll join you. We'll say hello, welcome you properly. Welcome you properly on Thursday in the members live. But welcome to the crazy train. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much. Okay. Right, so let's get going on this video. Let's talk about this video. Now, I haven't done my thanks, actually. I try and remember to put the banner on while the intro's playing. But I just want to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed, have liked my videos, you watch my videos, and special thank you, as always, to all the people who have joined my channel, because that really helps me out. And thank you to anyone who's bought me a Ko-fi, sent a super, or PayPal me. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate every contribution to my channel. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Chumba. Okay, so let's have a look at this video. Now, we'll all remember the inquest. If you're interested in the Nicola Bully case, if you followed the Nicola Bully case, I covered it live, didn't I? The actual inquest, you know, was live for the couple of days, the 2 days, and we were all a bit incensed, weren't we? You know, it was like there were quite a few things came out that we didn't know about before. The man in black, the screams, a few different things that we hadn't known about before. I've forgotten that word again, that petty nakai or whatever that poor Nicola had in her eyes, which can be as a result of strangulation rather than drowning. That caused a bit of a stir, so there was quite a few things came out in the inquest that we didn't know before. But as we know, the verdict ended up being an accidental death, and that's what we couldn't really understand, because there was really no proof of anything, was there? The inquest, I know the inquest is a balance of probabilities. That's the conclusion that they have to come to in the end. But there was quite a lot of pressure, wasn't there, put on the coroner, because the family had a lawyer there, and the lawyer practically instructed the coroner to find an accidental verdict. And everyone was a bit surprised, well, a lot surprised, really. I mean, we've sort of calmed down now a bit, I suppose, but everybody was really surprised it was not an open verdict, because there was no proof of foul play, but there was no proof of accidental death either. There was no proof of anything. So, in some of the videos that I've done about Nicola, we've queried that. If there was, we've looked at other inquests of similar cases, if you like, cases where somebody had ended up in the water, but it wasn't really clear how they'd ended up in the water, and they had been found as open verdicts. So we were surprised, why was this case found as an accidental death case when there was no proof that it was accidental? So this caused, but that's what the family wanted, and this is the problem in this case for me, as a YouTuber, that I feel like I've got to a point where if the family aren't interested in taking it any further or looking into it any further, how can you just keep looking at it? Because you feel like you're upsetting the family, and you don't want to do that. So anyway, so let's have a look at this video. Talk about 2 inquests. Now, of course, we all know about the Nicola Bully case. The Nicola Bully case, I think, is probably the case that brought most of us together one way or another, because it was from covering that case that a lot of you became my chatterati or my members, when I started memberships. Probably you first came onto my channel through Nicola Bully. Not all of you. Some of you have come through Samantha Murphy or other cases, or lots of different cases that you might have come to my channel for. But a lot of you came because of the Nicola Bully case and the coverage of the Nicola Bully case. So we're going to have a little look. I mean, I don't do videos really now about Nicola Bully except in the members, because there is so little new to say. And sometimes you feel like just going round in circles, repeating the same thing. And then, of course, the family don't want anyone looking into anything, so it's not as if you feel like you're doing some sort of a service to the family. Like most of the cases that I cover, I do feel that I'm making some small difference, putting a case out there, letting people know about what's happened, trying in some, literally in a small way. I've got a tiny YouTube channel in the ether of all the YouTube channels that there are. And, I would not do the cases if I thought that the family would be annoyed about it. And the thing is, with Nicola Bully, you do feel like the family doesn't really want anything looking into. So I have sort of stopped looking too far. There's nothing much to say really anyway, because I've done hundreds of videos, probably nearly 200 videos about Nicola Bully's case. There's a playlist. I'm going to review them one day. I still want to do like this docu-series, just documenting everything, fact-based. I don't mean speculation and I mean the actual facts. But of course, the thing with the Nicola Bully case, isn't it, is that the facts are practically impossible. practically impossible to ascertain because they're so arbitrary. You know, you read one thing one place, something else another place, somebody said this, Fred down the road said that, or on that channel they say this, oh, I've solved the case, oh, this, that, or the other. You know, and you just like sort of in the end lose the will to live, to be honest with it, because you can't get to the facts. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of, you know, everything is controversial, isn't it? The Peter Folding sort of fiasco, the College of Policing report, the inquest, you know. So anyway, we're going to look at the inquest today. We're going to look at the inquest of Nicola Bully, and what we're going to look at is the official summing up of the inquest, which has come directly from the coroner. And I'm going to read it out to show it to you, and point out one. I mean, reading through it, you'll all find other anomalies. I know as soon as I start reading out this thing, you know, 100% with the Nicola Bully case, it's going to be, well, actually that wasn't right, or, you know, that is just the way it is with this case. But there's one thing that I think is definitely missing from this summing up from the coroner. So I don't know if you know, but you can get, oh, well, some people seem to have managed to get a transcript of the actual inquest itself, of the recording of the inquest, because it's not written down, it's recorded. However, you know, you have to show, let me read you what you have to show. To get a transcript of the trial, apart from the fact it costs £200 to get the recording of the trial, somewhere I've got, yeah. Now, although the coroners will send out the official summing up, which to be honest is helpful, because if you, otherwise you're looking at all different publications. You know, I covered the inquest. We were live throughout the whole inquest for 2 days. But of course, when I say live, you know, you're following like what I was following, like the Lancashire Live and the Manchester Evening News and different publications that were reporting from. And I also, there was a couple of chatterati there who were sending me messages about it, sending me their notes from the inquest, which was great and very helpful. But I didn't have like an official account of the inquest. So to get the actual full recording, this is what you need, or this is the questions that they ask you. So the senior coroner may provide a copy of this recording to any person who, in his opinion, is a proper person to have possession of the recording. Before the senior coroner can consider your request, please explain why you are a proper person to have possession of such a recording by answering the following. So basically, you can buy a copy if you are a proper person, according to them. So what makes a proper person? Just let me check I haven't missed anyone coming in before I carry on. I don't think I have. Julie, you would influence the senior coroner's decision to provide you with this document. They then go on to say, any member of the media making such a request should be prepared to provide proof that they are a bona fide member of the press. The senior coroner will then consider your reply and determine if he is going to provide you with a copy of the document, and taking into account rights to privacy under Article 8 of the European Convention of Human Rights, whether or not any of the information needs to be redacted. There will also be a £200 charge. I mean, that is not normal when you're asking for a copy of an inquest request. But anyway, a £200 charge made payable to Lancashire County Council, payable in advance for the provision of this recording. In addition, if you are provided with this recording, it may not be copied, reproduced, redistributed. So to be fair, even if I did get a copy, and I just want to say thank you to a friend of mine who sent me this email. This is not me who applied for this, but somebody else did it. And anyway, if anything comes of it, I'll let you know. But the thing is, even if I was to get hold of a copy, or they were to get hold of a copy, you may not copy it, reproduce it, redistribute it, or publish it in print or digitally in any form whatsoever, and to do so may constitute a contempt of court. So there you go. So to receive a copy of the inquest or the recording of the inquest, you have to be a proper person, whatever that is, and you have to provide this information, who you are, why you're making the request, why is your request in the public interest, what are the relevant factors apply. Hey! Sorry, see how they decide to let off the bangers as soon as I start live. Hey! Because it makes, she doesn't like loud noises, so it makes her upset. I'll just rewind that a little bit. Look, you've got to be quiet, Tia. It's a shame. Let's go back a little bit. If you are provided with this recording, it may not be copied, reproduced, redistributed. No. So to be fair, even if I did get a copy, and I just want to say thank you to a friend of mine who sent me this email. This is not me who applied for this, but somebody else did it. And anyway, if anything comes of it, I'll let you know. But the thing is, even if I was to get hold of a copy, or they were to get hold of a copy, you may not copy it, reproduce it, redistribute it, or publish it in print or digitally in any form whatsoever, and to do so may constitute a contempt of court. So there you go. So to receive a copy of the inquest or the recording of the inquest, you have to be a proper person, whatever that is, and you have to provide this information, who you are, why you're making the request, why is your request in the public interest, what other relevant factors apply. You have to pay £200. If you're a member of the media, you have to provide proof that you are a bona fide member of the press. And even if you are allowed, you have to pay this £200. And then if you are provided with it, it may not be copied, reproduced, redistributed, or published in print or digitally in any form whatsoever. Okay, so just to let you know about that. However, what I do have, and I'm very grateful for, and it's very useful. It's useful because the summary, the official summary from the coroner, is better than reading it, or bits and pieces of it from different publications, or from YouTube channels or whatever. It's good to have the actual official copy of the coroner's summing up, and that I am going to read to you and show you. Now, nobody has said that you're not allowed to redistribute this, so I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. Because I know even in my members, there's some of you trolls out there. I know you join the members under false names just so that you can see whatever I'm doing with videos, etc. Hi, trolls, but I know you can't show yourself in members, or maybe you want to show yourself and let me know who you are. But I think what you do most of the time is just in secret. But there you go. Whatever floats your boat. Okay, so that we are going to be looking at that in a minute. Now, yeah. You're not allowed to read it out. You're not allowed to. In a way, it's sort of pointless having it, really, because you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to, reproduce it in any way. So I suppose it's just for your own information, or if you're writing a book or a paper, or, I don't know, if you're a member of the press. I'm sure there's a few members of the press who aren't real proper members of the press have managed to get hold of that transcript or that recording. Maybe they've passed it on to other people. But the thing is, whoever's got it, you're not supposed to reproduce it at all. You're not supposed to. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if the £200 is to put you off, David, because I think people would pay £200 definitely for it. But, maybe because they know there'll be a demand for it. Maybe it is to put people off. Maybe it is, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read out what I'm going to read out. Heather. Hi, Heather. I thought I might have missed someone. Hi, Heather. Hi, blank faces. So, well, all I would say is, how does someone prove that they're a proper person? How does someone fit in that criteria? And then even if you did, you're not supposed to read it out or share it with anyone. So, oh, by the way, cheers. I'm on a red wine tonight. It's not very nice, actually. I'm a bit disappointed with it. So I'll be probably alternating between wine and water. Yeah, just to say I'm not on wine tonight. I must have been on wine that night. I'm on my tea tonight. But yeah, that wasn't very nice, that red wine. I haven't bought that again. I do like to have a glass of wine with my members. Right, I've got to start the video again now. Hang on. It's called, mind you, it wasn't very expensive. So you get what you pay for, don't you? Cerro de los Pastores, the close of the shepherds. I've got to get some proper wine tomorrow. It's not very nice. It's all right. It's wine. That's about as much as you could say about it. So let's read the official summing up of the inquest. Right. Now, most of us remember the inquest. I don't think as I say, that I have to remind people on here about the Nicola Bully case, but I have quite a few Australian members now, and American members, people who didn't come to my channel through, because I am not a one-dimensional channel, unlike some. I don't just deal with Nicola Bully case. But so people have come through other cases, and they met. So forgive me for just repeating the story a little bit, because I know a lot of you, obviously Nicola's case inside out, but some people out there might not know it that well. But basically, Nicola went missing. She was a 45-year-old mother of two, dropped her children off at school, took her dog for a normal walk along the River Wyre, and in St Michael's in Lancashire, and disappeared, didn't she? Just completely disappeared, and then was found 3 weeks later in that river. Disappeared into thin air. Like so many people seem to do on a regular basis. Since I started following true crime, I never realised how many people literally just disappear. It's quite scary, isn't it, really? You never imagine that someone could just disappear, but it seems to happen all the time. Some people are found and some people aren't. 3 weeks later, but we know now that it can take a long time to find someone in a river. But despite the fact that that river is a very narrow river, slow moving, shallow water. And if only that was all there was to this case, isn't it? I mean, my goodness, there's so many other things. The welfare check on the 10th of January, the fact that Nicola originally was said to have no problems and then was said to be, practical menopausal alcoholic. So many, the specialist diver saying she definitely wasn't in the water. It was baffling, wasn't it? Blank faces, how it couldn't understand what had happened. But then 6 months later said, oh yeah, she was there because I did find her within 6 minutes. So the College of Policing report. There's one thing after another in this case. And as I say, it would take me forever to go into everything, but just to give people an idea of the case if they don't know anything about it. So let's have a look now. Oh, how do I share that? Hang on. I just got to work out how to do it now. Here we go. So this is in the Coroner's Court for Lancashire and Blackburn with Darwen, 27th of June 2023. So, of course, it was 26th, the inquest started, it finished on the 27th. And this is the coroner's official summing up. We have to take whatever we think of the coroner or don't think of him, we have to take the evidence. But of course, the coroner decided what evidence was presented at that inquest. There are things that we feel should have been. Nothing was mentioned about the specialist dive team, who said that she definitely wasn't in the river, but probably a good job, because then later on he said yes, she was. He never sent his findings to the coroner until September, by which time the inquest had already been and gone. The family weren't speaking to him anymore. Everybody was annoyed with him. The police, so things, there's so many things have happened in this case that we don't even know about. We only know what we know, what's been presented to us one way or another. But I bet there's so many things behind the scenes in this case that we just don't know about. So this is Mr. Aidley's official account, and we have to take it seriously. He is the coroner after all, whatever we can think. Yeah, just in case you've forgotten what Mr. Aidley looks like. Here we are. Good old Mr. Aidley. Before the inquest, I was thinking, when I looked at him and we had a little look at him in the video, and he looked very, respectable, and he had a good reputation. And of course, now it turns out he's a bit of a TV star himself, isn't he? He doesn't like talking about inquests unless it's on the telly and he's getting paid for it. And it would. So I think his estimation has gone down in a lot of our eyes since the inquest. But I just wanted to remind you of him. I think we can think what we want of him, but he is the coroner. So, and this is his official verdict or summing up. Oh, what have I done now? Hang on. So this concludes the evidence touching upon the death of Nicola Jane Bully, known to her family as Nikki. As I said at the outset, my condolences are and remain with the family on their loss, and my appreciation for the dignity with which they have borne themselves during the course of the inquest. As set out on the opening to the inquest, an inquest is a fact-finding investigation that attempts to answer 4 questions. Who has died? Where and when the death occurred? And by what means a person died? This inquest is not dealing with the police operational response, which is the subject of a separate investigation by the College of Policing. Now, I do think that's useful because, you know, it is important to remember what purpose of the inquest, what purpose of an inquest is. It's not a criminal investigation. You know, if during the course of preparing for the inquest, the coroner finds any reason to suspect there might be foul play, they have to pass it straight back to the police. And in this case, unfortunately, because I do feel there was foul play, I don't believe Peter Folding that what he was saying about her being in the river. I don't believe that. I think there was foul play. Having said that, how it'll ever be proven, you know, and even if there definitely was, I don't know. It just all feels wrong, doesn't it? But you know what? Feeling wrong, you can't take someone to court on that basis. So, identification. Mr. Andrew Edwards, consultant oral and maxillofacial surgeon at Royal Preston Hospital, compared Nicky's dental records to the dentition of the person recovered from the river wire on the 19th of February 2023. So, you know, that was it was 23 days after Nicola had disappeared before her body was recovered from the river. There's a lot of talk about the fact, of course, her body was spotted by Jason, the medium. Some people think her body wasn't found that day. You know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around this. I don't believe in the conspiracy theories. I think that was her body that was recovered, but I don't think she was in the water all that time. But anyway, we've all got our opinions. I think the good thing about my channel is we can have our opposite opinions. We can agree to disagree. You know, some of us think one thing, some of us think another. But, you know, we're all respectful of each other's opinions, or hopefully we are. So he confirmed it was Nicola Jane Bully, and this, together with all other findings and determinations in this inquest, is proved on the balance of probabilities that it is an occurrence. An occurrence is more likely than not. What? Consequently, I find the identification proved, as I also accept the registration particulars read out by my coroner's officer manager, Ms. Swarbrick, as being correct, with one amendment to which I'll return shortly. So basically, I think that he's covered the first. Hey, stop. I'll put you in the bathroom. I mean it. There's a dog barking outside, so my dog starts. So basically he's completed the first fact that he's supposed to. That was so funny because when she heard herself barking on the video, she's just come up to give me a cuddle. She just come up saying, "It's not me. It was you, but it was a couple of weeks ago." You know, the first fact that was supposed to establish that it was Nicola Jane Bully. Nicky's movements on the 27th of January 2023. So, on the 27th of January 2023, Nicky left the house to take her children to school with her Springer Spaniel Willow in the boot. Just after 8:30 a.m, Kiernan, at least he's using names. Do you remember when we read out the College of Policing timeline? And it was person A and person B and person C. And in the end, I didn't have a clue who anyone was. At least we're getting some names here. So just after 8:30 a.m, Kay Kiernan spoke to Nicky in the school car park, and they discussed the dogs for several minutes. Nicky then walked up Garstang Road, turned right onto the path, which joins up with the path coming from Allotment Lane, and proceeded to walk in a clockwise direction around the outside of the two fields on her usual 2 laps. Nicky was last seen alive by Claire Chesham, a fellow dog walker, at approximately 9:10 a.m. on a second circuit of the field, at a point farthest from the bench where Willow was later found. At 9:18 a.m., Nikki adjusted the volume on her phone, presumably in respect of the work Teams call she had joined just after 9 a.m. DC Keith Greenhalgh interpreted the Fitbit Versa 4 watch Nikki was wearing on the 27th of January 2023. DC Greenhalgh explained that Nikki's Fitbit recorded steps in 15-minute segments. On 27th of January 23, between 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m., Nikki's Fitbit recorded 4,548 steps. Now, for those of you who are into figures, Fitbits, I am not. This is like a foreign language to me. But some of you are more mathematically minded, and you'll be able to work out whether you think this is true or not. Between 9:15 a.m. and 9:30 a.m., Nikki's step count was 273 steps, a substantial reduction from the previous hour and 15 minutes, where she averaged 855 steps for each 15-minute period. There were no further steps recorded on the watch after 9:30. At 9:20 a.m., Nikki's phone was located by 3 handset pings to be in the area of the bench. They always say the area of the bench, don't they? Like the phone moved to the bench and that. Anyway, never mind. At 9:22, nobody saw it, so I suppose they can't say exactly what happened. At 9:22 a.m., Nikki's watch recorded a substantially increased heart rate of the data series examined for that morning before 9:33 a.m. And this is why they felt, wasn't it? Because the heart rate went up. That's why they felt that Nikki had fallen into the water at that point. But the Fitbit did, one thing he does fail to say here in this summing up is, didn't the Fitbit carry on? Wasn't there further activity from the Fitbit? Anyway, Penny Fletcher was walking her own dog and arrived at the stile by the side of the bench at 9:33 a.m. Mrs. Fletcher found Willow running loose. Nikki's mobile phone on the bench that was still connected to a Teams call, and a dog harness, which was later found to have a retractable lead attached to it. Sorry, just want to interrupt there because I know what I forgot to tell you is I did actually inquire about going and staying at the caravan park, but they don't have static caravans for rent, so you can only go there if you've actually got a caravan. So because I would have gone and stayed, I would love to talk to Penny, in a nice civilized way sort of thing. I'm sure, I would love to sort of, I have been there obviously, but I'd like to go there again and have a good look around and, and actually stay there and get a feel for the area because, I was only there a few hours and it was absolutely pouring down with rain. That day last year when I was in Manchester for about 3 weeks, it rained every single day except 2. I think it was 2. It might have even only been 1, but every single day it rained. And the day that I went to St. Michael's, it was hammering down with rain. It was absolutely pouring down. So I would like to go back again because the fact of the weather was so awful. I couldn't sort of look around as much as I would have done. But yeah, I did contact Penny and ask if there was any caravans for rent, but there's not. Just thought I'd tell you that. I forgot to tell you that actually. Right, let's go back to this. Now, this is something, I'm not sure about this, but is it because they put the harness back on Willow then? because I'm sure that I read that Anne-Marie Fletcher said that the lead was attached to the collar. So this is it. These are the so even in the official versions of Nicola's case, there are discrepancies. That's what makes it, just so awful, doesn't it? Or so. This is why people are still talking about it over a year later. Hi Claire. Why? I don't know. Hi, Simon. Again, as I say, if I miss anyone coming in, just say hello again and I'll try my best. But while I'm reading this, I can't read the chat as well at the same time. So, where are we? Mrs. Fletcher said there was no one in sight, so she tied Willow to the bench with some twine. There's a lot of talk about that. Why did she? You don't normally walk around with twine in your pocket, but there you go. Anyway, in summary, Nikki was last seen alive at approximately 9:10 a.m. She interacted with her phone at 9:18 a.m. when she adjusted the volume, and Mrs. Fletcher found Willow with no one in sight at 9:33 a.m. This provides a maximum window of time of 15 minutes. I thought it was 10 minutes. Anyway, now it's 15 minutes between the last known point that Nikki was alive and when she was not present in the area of the bench. The River Wire. PC Matthew Thackeray is a Lancashire constabulary diver who was part of the underwater search team during the diving the River Wire on the 27th of January 2023, and also provided video footage of the river and its banks on a later date. PC Thackeray described the area around the bench as a relatively steep, grassed slope from the bench that, as it approached the river, became an almost vertical drop of approximately a metre with a small cutout at the top of the bank. PC Thackeray said that at the base of this vertical section, a stone wall had been built at around the level of the river, presumably to prevent further erosion of the bank. This provided no footholds to climb out of the water, as well as there being no handholds at this point. Now, as you know, I have been to that area. I don't see how Nicola would have only fallen in if she was standing right on the edge. And once she fell in, she would have been able to stand up. But anyway, maybe not. Who knows? It just, when you see the river there, you just can't see how this can have happened. Anyway, this provided no footholds to climb out. I suppose I could only sort of test it really by jumping in. This provided no footholds to climb out of the water, as well as there being no handholds at this point. PC Thackeray said that if you fell at the top of this steep section, you would certainly enter the water. He also described the opposite bank, which at this point is approximately 20 metres away, as also being a difficult site to climb out. PC Thackeray provided a video review. We all saw that video review, didn't we? It was like, it proved really the opposite of what he was supposed to prove. But anyway, we all saw it. They did release it. So he provided a video review of the river down beyond that weir, which is approximately 300 metres downstream of the bench. Both before and after the weir, the water accelerates, which is true. But nobody, in those, there are a couple of things that always surprise me. One is nobody heard a splash. No splash. A grown woman falling into the water, there's people around walking their dogs not far away. Nobody heard a splash. those 2 screams were heard, but they're completely poo-pooed in this summary as not being relevant. So first of all, no splash, and then in 3 weeks, in 23 days, in a very shallow river like that river is, nobody saw Nikki's body, even though there's people walking backwards and forwards, there's fishermen, there's people walking their dogs. It's, relatively well-trodden sort of area that many people use. Nobody saw Nicola's body travelling down that river, even though it travelled quite a way in the end. Nobody saw it. So, she must have only travelled at night, because it is clear water that you could definitely see. You would be able to see somebody in there. You just would. Okay, I've forgotten where I'm up to now. So blah 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 blah. Then they go on to the height of the water. So he provided a video review of the river down beyond that weir, which is approximately 300 metres downstream of the bench. Both before and after the weir, the water accelerates. On the 27th of January, the Environment Agency provided data that the flow over the weir was 0.49 metres. This height of water is almost double that of the day when PC Thackeray made his video diary of the river, when he found that 20 to 30 centimetres of water was sufficient to carry him over the weir. It was not sufficient because he had to stand up in the end and walk, because he tried floating and he wasn't floating, albeit with increased buoyancy from a dry suit. Yeah, he had a suit on as well. PC Thackeray said that on the 27th of January 2023, the river was approximately half a metre higher than the video shown. The water temperature was 3.6 centigrade and the flow rate was approximately 1 ms. I don't know what that means. Dr. Denison Wilkins is an expert in the movement of bodies in inland waterways. She explained, it was a woman, that underneath the bank on the outside of the bend is the fastest point of the river stream, but also that there are eddies. Oh my God, not eddies. Oh, for fuck's sake. There are eddies in the water under the surface. Oh my God, that frightened you to death. Dr. Denison Wilkins and PC Thackeray both agreed to joke, it's a joke by the way, that the flow in the river on that day made it almost impossible to swim against the current. The depth of the river wire at the point below the bench on the day in question was 4.6 metres. Now, I know Nicola was not tall, but even so, if that's correct, which, I don't know if it's correct or not, but 4.6 metres. I'm not very good at working out. So that'd be double her height, would it? Or maybe even treble, supposedly. I doubt very much it was that deep. But anyway, downstream of this point, the river depth remained too deep to touch the bottom for at least 40 metres. PC Thackeray estimated that on 27th of January 2023, it would have taken approximately 2 to 3 minutes for someone in the water to drift downstream to this point, as a body in the water moves more slowly than the water itself. Now, bear in mind, nobody found Nicola. That day, they were all there searching with everything. Those first couple of days, they were searching that water. Nicola was not there. Nobody will ever convince she is. Don't think it's because they were incompetent and didn't find her. She was not there. Okay, then let me just see how long it is, because I've got quite a lot to talk about. Oh my God. Yeah, it's quite long, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to read it, aren't we? I might not get round to Ewelina today. It might go on too long. Cold water immersion. Professor Mike Tipton is a professor of human and applied physiology, and Dr. Paddy Morgan is a consultant anaesthetist. Both are world-class experts in the study of the effects of extreme environments. As their evidence was intertwined, I do not propose to separate their evidence. They explain that when a person is suddenly immersed in cold water, receptors just under the surface of the skin trigger a reflex that results in substantial release of adrenaline, rapid gasping of 1 to 3 breaths, followed by uncontrolled ventilation and a rapid elevation of heart rate and blood pressure, which collectively is termed cold water shock. Now, cold water shock is a thing, of course. The water temperature of 3.6 degrees would have elicited a powerful response in Nikki. They explain that the response is not related to either body size or composition, but is related to the rapid cooling of the skin. The type of clothing Nikki was wearing for a dog walk would not have slowed her response to cold water shock. They went on to explain that cold water shock causes a release of sufficient adrenaline that may, in some cases, cause the heart of the immersed person to stop immediately, resulting in a sudden loss of consciousness and drowning within seconds of immersion. And this is what they think happened to Nikki, wasn't it? Now, these are experts. We can't say, we have to take their testimony as, important. So, So it may cause the heart of the immersed person to stop immediately, resulting in a sudden loss of consciousness and drowning within seconds. If this does not occur, there is an overwhelming urge to gasp, which becomes more overpowering as seconds pass and overwhelming by 10 seconds. If Nikki's head was underwater when she took her first gasp, she could have inhaled 2 litres of water, which for a person of Nikki's size would have been a lethal dose due to the water in the lungs preventing the exchange of oxygen and the damage to the lungs itself. They agreed there was a good chance that Nikki's first breath was underwater due to the nature of her entry into the water, due to the steep drop into the water from the riverbank. Even if her first breath was above the water, if she then became submerged, the increased heart rate, blood pressure, and struggling to keep your head above water would have used oxygen within her body at a rate such as that she would have lost consciousness within a maximum of 48 seconds. However, both experts agreed. I'm going to turn on my other computer so I can read the chat at the same time I'm reading this, because otherwise I feel like I'm being rude. Blah, 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 blah. Both experts agreed this was highly optimistic, and a more realistic figure was that on entering the water, Nikki would have lost consciousness within approximately 30 seconds, with the last 10 seconds being of increasingly impaired consciousness. P.C. Thackeray said that if she had attended he had attended drownings in canals, where if the person had simply stood up, they would have survived. But such was the shock of immersion, a person did not take the simple step of standing up and instead drowned. Consequently, whether or not Nikki's first breath was above or below the water, she would have lost consciousness and have died instantly. Sorry, I don't know if it's instantly. I need the next word. And have died before reaching the final point, the first point in the river wire where she could have touched the bottom. Let me just sort this computer out. Dr. Armour, and of course Dr. Armour was the the pathologist who did the autopsy, Alison Armour, she explained. Right, just let me get my chat up on this other computer. Oh, using the wrong mouse. God, I hate. Yeah, because if I get my chat up on my laptop, then I can read the chat as I'm reading this. And I don't feel like I'm being rude ignoring you then. So, Dr. Armour explained that Nikki suffered from no natural disease that caused or contributed to her death. Nearly there. I'm nearly there. Dr. Armour also reviewed the toxicology that showed that Nikki had therapeutic levels of paracetamol and propanolol in her. Sorry, I'm just looking to make sure I haven't missed anyone coming in now. Okay, great. I've got your chat up, so that's good. Okay, so now I can read the chat and read this at the same time, which is good. So yeah, Dr. Armour also reviewed the toxicology that showed that Nikki had therapeutic levels of paracetamol and propanolol in her bloodstream. Dr. Armour also stated that at the time Nikki entered the water, she had no alcohol in her bloodstream, the very low levels of alcohol found after her death being due to decomposition. Dr. Armour, from her findings at post-mortem, concluded that the cause of death was drowning. Hi, Susan. Because I don't think I'd said hello to Susan before. Hi, Ruth. Professor Tipton and Dr. Morgan agreed that Dr. Armour's findings were what they would have expected in a person who had drowned. Both Professor Tipton and Dr. Morgan had contributed to the RNLI Float to Live campaign. Jack, Float to Live campaign, which attempts to save the lives of people falling into water by educating people to take 5 simple steps. Right, just one minute. Can you just take that off the dog, please? Hello? Can you just take that off her, please? Because it's so loud. Okay, so let's go back to that because I don't think you would have heard that. Professor Tipton and Dr. Morgan had contributed to the RNLI Float to Live campaign, which attempts to save the lives of people falling into water by educating people to take 5 simple steps. So this is interesting. So remember this, just in case you ever fall into water. Tilt your head back with your ears submerged. Relax and try to breathe normally. Move your hands to help you stay afloat. Don't worry if your legs sink, and spread yourself out to improve stability. And they said that such education may save the lives of other people who are unlucky enough to enter cold water unexpectedly. So there's some interesting advice there. If you do fall into cold water, tilt your head back with your ears submerged, relax, try to breathe normally, move your hands to help you stay afloat, don't worry if your legs sink, and spread yourself out to improve stability. There you go, something to remember. Okay, my favourite subject, this Fitbit Versa 4 data. Well, you know, if you watch my videos regularly, you'll know that I absolutely hate talking about the Fitbit because I just don't really understand it. So numbers just, you know, they're just not my thing. But anyway, for those of you who do understand numbers, let's hear about the Fitbit. So on the 27th of January, Nikki was wearing a Fitbit Versa 4 watch that has the ability to count steps, measure heart rate and blood oxygen saturation. The measurement of heart rate and blood oxygen saturation is achieved by shining different coloured lights into the skin and measuring the returning light. You know, this is just foreign language to me. These watches are not equivalent to the type of medical equipment that would monitor your heart rate or blood saturation in an NHS hospital. Furthermore, these watches are designed to provide information to a person who is alive regarding their physiological status. These watches were neither intended to assist in the diagnosis of death nor the timing of death. It's interesting that, isn't it, that they're saying that? Google has provided considerable assistance in trying to understand the functioning of these watches to allow some interpretation of the data. In respect of both heart rate and oxygen saturation, extremes of temperature in either the environment or a person will affect readings, as will any water flow passing between the watch and the wrist. DC Keith Greenhalgh found that when the watch was attached to an inanimate object in still water, no heart rate could be obtained. However, a heart rate could be generated with the watch attached to an inanimate object if water flowed around the watch. This explains the continued heart rate monitoring of the Fitbit watch after the point that Nikki was known to be missing and in the water. So basically he's saying that the flow of the water made the Fitbit carry on registering a heartbeat. So at 9:22 a.m. there was a significant spike. Hi Amanda Jane. There was a significant spike of the heart rate, with a substantially increased heart rate being a feature of cold water shock. So this is what they're basing their theory on of how she died or what happened to her. Subsequent spikes were noted, but the Fitbit Versa 4 also monitors the reliability of the data with confidence levels of 0 to 3. Although there are heart rate elevations after 9:33 a.m., this is when Nikki was in the water, and the readings are considerably less reliable due to the temperature of the water, the cooling effect on Nikki's skin. What are you looking at? Not you, the dog's here looking. Get on, just go sleep on your chair. Go sleep on your chair. So although there are heart rate elevations after 9:33, this is when Nikki was in the water, and the readings are considerably less reliable due to the temperature of the water, the cooling effect on Nikki's skin, and the interference with readings as the water passed between the watch and the wrist. What do you think? What do you think? Anyway, third-party involvement. So now he's looking at third-party involvement, which is what most of us, I think, probably think there was some third-party involvement. All of the witnesses who were in the area at the time, which included Richard Fife, Claire Chesham, Penny Fletcher, Susan Jones and Roger Jones. Now this is where I disagree with the coroner. Did not know anyone suspicious or acting unusually in the area of the field in which Nikki was walking. Now this is not true, is it? Because Richard Fife did see a man in black, and this was reported, you know. And so what I've put this into the, I've added this because this is what was in the Lancashire Live on the 26th of June, on the day of the inquest. This was reported in the Lancashire Live. A sighting of a man dressed in black was reported to Lancashire Constabulary after the disappearance of Nicola Bully. An inquest into the mum of two's death heard evidence from dog walker Richard Fife, who was amongst the last people to see Nicola alive. That should be Nicola, of course. Mr. Fife, I'm going to take that wasn't me who put that in. This is directly copied from the Lancashire Live. So, to see Nicola alive. Mr. Fife was unable to attend the inquest at County Hall in Preston, but his statement was read out on his behalf. Yeah, so I added that in there, you know, so from the official summary of the inquest, it was completely missed out about the man in black. It wasn't mentioned at all, but it was mentioned during the inquest. You know, why say that none of the witnesses had seen anyone suspicious when they actually had? I mean, it may not have had nothing to do with it. It may not have been anything to do with anything, but he never came forward. He was never found. He never came forward and said, oh, that was me, you know, so he was never accounted for. But then in the official summing up of the inquest, he's disappeared. The man in black's disappeared completely. So I don't like that. You know, why? So Mr. Fife did not attend. He just had a statement read out. That's interesting, isn't it? So his statement explained he was walking his dog on the fields. Close to where the mortgage advisor was last seen, as she walked her dogs following the school run. He knew her well enough to say hello to her, as they often see each other while out walking, Mr. Fife explained. According to Mr. Fife's statement, he saw Nicola from a distance between 9:10 and 9:20 as she was looking at her phone. So this is really close to the time when she supposedly went into the water. He went on to explain that he saw a male he referred to as a man in black as he walked towards where he saw Nicola and assumed he was waiting for a lift. Mr. Fife said he then saw him again on his way back and that he was dressed all in black and possibly a beanie hat and was about 6'1" tall. Mr. Fife thought it was strange he was still there, according to his statement. He then got in his car and drove off, and when he drove past where the man in black had been, he was gone. After hearing Nicola, 45, had gone missing, Mr. Fife reported his sighting of the man in black to the police. So I have put that into the coroner does not mention that in his summing up at all. I've just put that in just because that just was a big difference to me in what was reported by, you know, in the coroner's official summing up, but actually what was reported on the day of the inquest. So, Detective Superintendent Rebecca Smith reported that there was CCTV coverage of 3 of the 4 entry points to the field in which Nicky was walking, which shows no one unusual in the vicinity contemporaneously with Nicky's chosen route. The remaining entrance had CCTV coverage in one direction, and this also produced no evidence of any unusual individuals in the area at the relevant time. So are they saying that Mr. Fife just imagined that? You know, it feels like they're saying that he was either lying about a man in black or he just imagined it. In addition, Lancashire Constabulary contacted the 700 cars that passed. So, yeah, I think the reason that they discounted the man in black, wasn't it? Because there was no phone data of anybody. Because he may not have had a phone on him, you know, I mean, the thing is that man, Mr. Fife, he saw someone, you know, so are they saying that they checked phone records and there was no record of anybody in that area at that time? That's suspicious in itself. Why didn't they have a phone with them? You know, who walks around without a phone these days? So are they actually saying, you know, I mean, he said he saw him twice. He was very clear in his description of him. Are they saying then that he was lying or he just imagined it? Because that obviously hadn't been caught, this man in black hadn't been caught on any dash cam or anything. And they had no phone, I presume that because they had no phone records of anybody being in the area, you know. But then to just sort of whitewash it and take it out of the summing up completely is just not right. He should have been in there, even if it was in there, you know, just to say that one of the witnesses had reported seeing a man in black, but the police checked into it and it's thought, you know, it should have been mentioned, but it's vanished. You know, vanished without a trace, disappeared into thin air as if. So in years to come, when people look back on that summing up of the inquest, that won't even be mentioned. You know, it won't have ever happened if it wasn't for us that we've actually, you know, people that have actually seen that in other publications, and that now would not exist. It's crazy, isn't it? That area of the Garstang Road in the relevant time period and analysed the dashcam footage, which also produced no unusual persons in the area at that time. Superintendent Smith also confirmed that no intelligence gathered by Lancashire Constabulary from other sources indicated third-party involvement. Dr. Armour, the Home Office pathologist, said there was neither evidence that Nicky was assaulted on the morning of the 27th. They don't mention the bruising either in this. You know, this is obviously, it's not the pathologist report, but it's not even mentioned, the bruises. So the Alison Armour also said there was neither evidence that Nicky was assaulted on the morning of the 27th, nor that any third party was involved in Nicky's death. Although Victoria Clayson and Helen O'Neill at approximately 9:40 a.m. both heard a scream, it was not of a nature that caused either concern and was located in an area some distance from where Nicky had entered the water. Also, for the reasons that I have explained, by the time the scream was heard, Nicky was probably already dead. So he's poo-pooing the screams as happening after Nicky was dead. I do not doubt that these ladies heard a scream and were quite right to report it to the police, but it was not relevant to Nicky's death. Consequently, there is no evidence to support that any one third party was involved in Nicky's death. So he doesn't even, the man in black's not even mentioned in his summing up. The screams he mentions, but he poo-poos completely. Anyway, so now we come to his findings and his conclusion. As I have said, I am satisfied that I've been dealing throughout with Nicola Jane Bully. I think that's the only thing that I agree with. And no, it's not the only thing. It was definitely Nicola's body, no doubt about that. It was Nicola's body. The cause of death is drowning. As to where and when and how Nicky came by her death, my view is that Nicky arrived at the bench having taken 273 steps after 9:15 a.m. The last known interaction Nicky made with her phone was 9:18 a.m. At 9:22 a.m., her Fitbit recorded the significant spike in heart rate consistent with what might be expected with cold water shock. There is no evidence as to why Nikki entered the water as the phone was still on the bench. So the phone was on the bench. Was it on the bench or was it on the floor? That's another moot point, isn't it? Connected to the Teams call. Paul Ansell explained that it's possible Nikki was trying to put the harness onto Willow when something occurred. But equally, something may have happened that caused Nikki to drop the harness. So, sorry, I'm just thinking about that. So that's the first time I've seen him say that. So he's not necessarily saying that she fell in while she was trying to put the harness on. He says Paul Ansell explained it's possible that Nikki was trying to put the harness on, which, frankly, you rarely saw a picture of Willow without her harness. She always, how many photos have we seen with Willow with the harness on? But anyway, he then decided that they always took the harness off. And he thought she was trying to that was why the harness was left there. It was a decoy. Peter Folding thought it was a decoy until he came up with his other ridiculous story. Peter said right from the beginning he thought the harness was a decoy. Even Paul said he thought it was a decoy, didn't he? In that interview that he did with Dan Walker, the weird interview, he said he thought the harness and the phone were decoys. Then by the time the inquest came, he thought that it was Nikki trying to put the harness back on. Another discrepancy. This is the problem with this case, isn't it? All the strange things. So now the coroner's saying that might have happened, but equally something might have happened that caused Nikki to drop the harness. Yeah, maybe someone running up behind her and pushing her in the river, eh? For this reason, I do not consider the evidence is sufficient to conclude on the balance of probabilities that what occurred that led to Nikki entering the water. So I think, he did say the coroner could not establish how she got in the water. This is why I don't understand why it wasn't an open verdict, because everything in that inquest was supposition, speculation. What was the evidence? The only evidence was what that was Nikki's body. So consequently, although the finding of the dog harness dropped halfway between the bench and the river is unusual, it is also unexplained on the balance of probabilities. Consequently, I find that on the 27th of January 2023, at around 9:22 a.m., Nicola Jane Bully fell into the River Wyre close to St. Michael's and died almost immediately. Consequently, I will alter the date of death in the registration particulars to the 27th of January 2023 rather than the date on which she was recovered from the river on the 19th of February 2023. In turning to the conclusion, what used to be termed as a verdict, so apparently they're not called verdicts now, they're called conclusions. The first conclusion I should consider is that of suicide. There is an absence of any evidence that would suggest that Nikki was contemplating suicide on the 27th of January 2023. Excluding a couple of comments over the Christmas period when she was acting out of character and were treated as throwaway comments, there was no indication of any intention to take her own life. Her behaviour in the week before her death, it's not been proofread this, has it? Was back to normal. She had restarted her HRT therapy. She had stopped drinking some time before. Didn't know she'd stopped drinking. Well, on the 10th of January, she was drunk, supposedly. Who said she'd stop drinking? She was making plans for play dates and spa days with several people. Was becoming increasingly successful as her new career as a mortgage broker, and behaved entirely normally during her parents' visit of the night before and with Paul Ansell on the morning of her death. Well, they say she behaved normally. She was really annoyed with him. You could see that. If that CCTV was the CCTV of that morning, she was stomping round that car. She was angry. He was looking at her as if he wasn't sure what mood she's in. Anyway, the circumstances found after her death would also be extremely unusual for suicide, where Nikki left Willow, a dog to whom she was devoted, and was described as a third child, alone on the riverbank. Nikki would also have had sufficient knowledge of cold water shock to realise to how rapidly a death may occur, as otherwise she may be spotted and said, there's no way that you would choose that place to kill yourself. That is, I do agree with him. If you were planning on doing it, and she may have been planning on doing it, she may have been really depressed, but why would you do it there? It wasn't a spot where people went to kill themselves. You know, it wasn't a famous suicide spot. It was like a shallow river where you would look at it and you think, oh God, you might just break your leg. You know, you wouldn't necessarily think that you would die. You know, that I do think that suicide is a definite no-no. Yeah, she also chose to do it at the main intersection of paths, where she could be interrupted at any point, and this would be unusual, and to leave her car keys in her pocket with the car in the school playground, where her children, to whom she was devoted, would see it, would be cruel. For these and many other reasons, I discount a conclusion of suicide, as there is no evidence to support this conclusion. There was also no natural disease that contributed to Nikki's death. The remaining conclusion is of accidental death. Well, of course, an open verdict might have been possible, mightn't it? But anyway, decided not open. With an accident here having its ordinary meaning in English of happening by chance or being unintentional, for the reasons set out above, I conclude that Nicola Jane Bully died an accidental death. So, and then he just acknowledges, he thanks the staff of Lancashire County Council, he thanks the constabulary, the security, etc. He also thanks Sophie Cartwright and her instructing solicitor, Mr. Terry Wilcox, for accepting instructions on behalf of the family on a pro bono basis, because they felt it was the right thing to do. Thank you also to everyone who has provided evidence, as the stress of doing so is never to be underestimated. That concludes the inquest touching upon the death of Nicola Jane Bully. So, there you go. That's the official summing up from the coroner. And, you know, there's a lot of it that I think is, I'm glad that I've been able to see it. But the big thing that's missing, of course, is the mention of the man in the black. Whether there was a man in black or not, it was reported by a witness. So it should have been in the summing up, I think. But anyway, you know, who am I to say? Okay. So, I'm sure you've all been chatting about that as it's gone. I've tried to sort of keep up, just make. Okay, so that's the inquest official summing up, straight from Mr. Aidley's lips. You know, that's exactly as he's written it. No, you know, no, no sort of ifs or buts. That's his official summing up that's available to read, to go over, etc. So no discrepancies there, if you like. Nobody can say, oh, that's not what he said. That's exactly what he said. Not saying that that's what happened. What I'm saying is that's what Mr. Aidley, the coroner, has decided happened from the witnesses that he chose to invite, and from what he chose to put in the summing up. Now we're going to look at of course, the other sort of mysterious case that some people think is connected to Nicola, some people don't, is the sorry, I've got a tickle. Is the Ewelina Sassak case, and that's what I went on to look at. Sure you're all behaving yourself. I know you will be. That's what I like about the members' lives as well, is, you know, I know you'll all be behaving yourself. You'll all be being nice to each other, and even if you disagree, you won't be arguing, unlike in other lives. That's right. If we do disagree sometimes, but you can challenge the argument, but we don't challenge each other, do we? We just have our thoughts, we have and we agree with some things that people say, and we don't agree with other things. And that is the whole purpose of sort of brainstorming, really, sometimes. Okay. Right, actually, so what I'm going to look at now, I am going to look at, so the other inquest I wanted to look at was Ewelina. I shouldn't say Ewelina, it's Ewelina. It's a W, but it's pronounced a V. Evina Sassak. Now, some of you, again, may know about this case or not. If you've been watching my videos regularly, you will know. But Ewelina Sassak worked at the vets where Nicola's dog went, you know, and she died a very unusual death around about the same time. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to show you my video that I made, the relevant points anyway, of the video that I made about the case of Ewelina. And then we are going to have a look at her. I haven't got her full inquest results, and I haven't got the summary, but I'm trying to get it. Oops. No, just something I want to say there. So I was trying to get the summing up, you know, like that summing up that I got for the for Nicola's inquest, which was very useful, very helpful. It's very comprehensive, and I tried to get the summing up of Ewelina's inquest. I have got something. They did send me something, but they said to me there is no summing up. After I received that summing up from Mr. Aidley, I thought, oh, maybe I'll be able to get Ewelina's summing up. And they sent me an email back saying there is no summing up. How can there not be a summing up? Anyway, apparently not. That's what the coroner said. So make what you want of that. Why not a summing up? I've got something, but I haven't got the full thing. Right, so what am I doing? Stop screen, present. So, yeah, I made this video about it. I'm going to take my picture off here because otherwise you've got me twice, and once is probably bad enough. Say on YouTube, who was found in a hotel where she was staying. Right, sorry, let me just start it again. So it's me, Vicky Marie. Thank you so much for being here with me to talk about what I'm going to talk about now. This has sort of blown my mind a little bit. So what if I was to tell you about a young girl who was found, gosh, I'm just thinking what I can say on YouTube, who was found in a hotel where she was staying many miles away from where she lived, with many, many STAB wounds on her body, and who later died in hospital of blood loss, I presume. Now, if I was to tell you about this girl who had been saying that somebody was pursuing her, a gang was pursuing her, she was so paranoid, so scared, she'd left her home behind and was trying to get back to her. Well, she'd gone from Lancashire to London, and presumably or supposedly was thinking of trying to find her way back to Poland, which is where she originally comes from, because a gang were following her. She was being chased by a gang. In the end, she didn't want to get on the aeroplane because she thought somebody would poison her on the aeroplane. And then she was later found in this hotel room with many, many wounds to her body. Now, if I was to tell you about that, and then I was to tell you that this, at the inquest, it was found to be the big S. It was found to be self-deletion. And if I was to tell you that, and then I was to tell you that this girl used to work at the vets where Nicola Bully used to take her dog. Let's chat. Now, there are many things that have sort of blown my mind about this. First of all, let's just have a look at the story itself. The reason it's come out sort of today, if you like, is because of the result of the inquest. The result of the inquest has just come out. This poor young girl, Ewelina Sassak, who was Polish, she was 30 years old. Now, apparently, she was convinced she was being followed. And finally, she was found DEAD. Though I don't think she was DEAD. I think she was unconscious, but she later died in a hotel room bath. And doctors suspected at first that tragic 30-year-old Ewelina Sassak may have been attacked, but they ultimately found no signs of third-party involvement or self-defense. Now, it's true, where normally if somebody's been attacked and they hold up their arms, don't they? And they, you know, they have wounds, self-defense wounds on their body. But she was a vet in her dream job, and she was found with horrific injuries in a bath at a 4-star hotel in London. So initially, the violence was so much that it was initially thought that it must be an MURDER. So her parents had flown over from their home in Poland to attend the inquest. The inquest was held in St. Pancras Coroner's Court on Monday, October the 23rd. They said their daughter was happy, recently had a pay rise in her dream job, and she was buying furniture for a flat in Blackpool. She had moved to the UK in 2021 after qualifying as a vet in Poland. Using a friend as a translator, her dad, Henrik Sasak, said she was working as a vet. She had had a pay rise. She had something to live for. She had lots of friends in Poland. She was very healthy. Now, it seems to me that this poor family, maybe they couldn't afford a solicitor to instruct the coroner what decision they were supposed to take. So the young woman who worked at Moy Vets in Hambleton, Lancashire, was very close with her friends in Poland and had a strong relationship with her family. However, in the days leading up to her death, the young girl became convinced that a group of 10 people were following her and intent on harming her. The fear became so intense that she fled from Blackpool to London, even planning to fly last minute to Poland before becoming too terrified she would be injected with poison mid-flight. Now, it's clear this could be a very sad case of, mental psychosis, deterioration. It just seems very odd to me. Anyway, at 10 p.m. that night, Miss Sasak checked into the Staunton Hotel. She made the reservation under one name only and paid the night porter up front in cash for a night in a ground floor room beside reception. The next morning, the chambermaid could not enter the door and called to the receptionist the inquest heard. She couldn't get in either, but managed to get a distressed Miss Sasak to speak to her through the locked door. And this is the vet's where she worked in Hambleton now. Geography not being my strong point. I think there are two of these Moyes vets in that Lancashire area. I don't know which one was the one that Nicola took Willow to. But wasn't it Moyes vets that was supposedly on the dog tag? Miss Sasak asked to stay another night. The receptionist returned to the desk and telephoned Miss Sasak to say they were fully booked, but she could stay an extra half an hour before checking out. The hotel owner arrived at 12:10 and struggled to break into the locked door to find her lying in the bath, conscious but covered with deep cuts. He called the emergency services and police discovered Miss Sasak still conscious with two sharp objects beside her and blood across the hotel room. She hadn't slept in her bed, and train tickets were strewn across it from Preston to Manchester Airport, Preston to Liverpool, and a London All Zones travel card, all valid for the previous day. A bag filled with paperwork, £175 in notes and £12 in coins were also recovered. Paramedics arrived, gave her CPR in the bathroom before carrying her to the reception. However, their attempts to resuscitate her were unsuccessful, and she was pronounced dead at 1:07 p.m. So Assistant Coroner Ian Potter ruled that Miss Sasak died by suicide. Mr. Potter said, "We can never know whether her belief was grounded in reality, but it was clear that she was overcome by fear and distress when she checked into the Staunton Hotel." Summarising his verdict, he said, "I'm told by Ewelina Angelica Sasak's mother, Iona, that she was a very nice girl with lots of friends. It's also clear to me that she had a good and close relationship with her family. Mrs. Sasak, meaning Iona, has given evidence about text messages and numerous conversations she had with Ewelina between the 12th and 25th of April 2023. These exchanges paint a picture of a fast emerging situation which rapidly escalated. It's so sad, this, to what can only be described as a state of apparent despair, which saw a situation where Ewelina believed she was being followed on the 24th of April 2023 by a group of up to 10 people. I have no doubt that Ewelina did believe she was being followed. What is less clear is the source of that belief, whether it was entirely based in reality or whether it was delusional, either in whole or in part. In the absence of expert medical opinion regarding Ewelina's mental health, which is not possible to obtain after the fact. So presumably there were no doctor's records, if they even looked that far. Presumably there were no doctor's records of depression or anything like that. We will never know the exact facts of that situation and her belief. However, what is clear to me is that at the time she checked into the Staunton Hotel, Ewelina was in a state of some fear and distress. I have also borne in mind the nature and extent of Ewelina's injuries, which were quite frankly extreme. I found that nobody inflicts injuries of that severity on themselves as a cry for help or expecting to live, particularly not someone of Ewelina's educational standard. I mean, is it just me? But what is going on? Bearing in mind that as a vet, she was more than familiar with the basics of biology and anatomy. In light of these factors, I reject the notion of accident. Yes, it probably. I think you can safely say it was not an accident, and find that on the balance of probabilities, that's that balance of probabilities again, Ewelina inflicted these injuries on herself, and that she did so with the intention of taking her own life. Turning to Miss Sassak's parents, he added, all that remains, Ilona and Henrik, is for me to give you my sincere condolences for the loss of your daughter. I can't begin to imagine the pain and suffering that it has caused for you, and I wish you a safe journey home. Is that it then? Is that it? Is that her life? Just like, so they're not going to investigate what was going on in Lancashire where she was living? Why was she feeling like that? Why was she... You know, I'm sort of speechless. It's heartbreaking. Okay, so that's the video that I did about her last year when I found out about it. And as you know, I've been looking at your comments as ever. Why did she go to London? Why did she go to St Pancras? Even if she was going to look, so if she was supposedly been trying to get home to her parents, why didn't she just fly from Manchester, Blackpool, or, you know, why did she go to St Pancras in the first place? That just seems strange to me. And then this thing about doing it to herself. No, it's not unheard of. As I looked into it on other videos, it's not unheard of for people to kill themselves by stabbing themselves. There was a case not long ago, actually, when you think about it. Remember the guy? He was Eastern European, wasn't he? And he killed himself and his children and his sister-in-law. Can't remember his name. He stabbed himself in the neck. But see, that's what people normally do. If people kill themselves, what they normally do is stab themselves in the neck, obviously, because the neck, or they slit their wrists, of course. You know, because at the end of the day, these are, you know, if you're trying to kill yourself, you don't. But she had a lot of small injuries. It was very strange. And maybe she did have a mental health problem. I would love to find out more about Ewelina, because, first of all, why was she even in St Pancras? If she was going to London to go to Poland, why was she not at Gatwick or Heathrow, or, you know, why was she there? First of all. Now, apparently, of course, something that we don't have access to, there were a load of messages between her and her parents where she got increasingly paranoid about these people, 10 people that were out to get her, etc. I'd love to have a look at those messages. The other thing is, where is she buried? Because I just came to think about it. I haven't been able to find out so far. Where would she end up with being buried? I wouldn't imagine that her parents would have taken her to Poland, because it costs an absolute fortune to transport a body. You know, so where was she buried? Was she brought back to Blackpool, or was she buried in St Pancras in London somewhere, where she knew absolutely nobody, apparently? It's a very, very, very odd case. And the thing is, like a lot of you were saying out there, she was a vet. She was a vet. Why would she have killed herself in that way? Why didn't she have access to everything? She could have just injected herself with something, taken tablets. She knew how to euthanize animals, I would imagine. If she was a vet, she'd know how to euthanize. I'm sure she would have been able to euthanize herself instead of actually, actually stabbing herself. Why would she do that? I don't know if you can hear that. If you heard the dog, then the dog went, yeah, the dog doesn't know why either. No, somebody asked about where she lives. I'm going to show you where she lives, or lived, I should say. We're on Google Earth. So this was her address. She lived at 171 Kingscote Drive, Blackpool. Let's have a look. I'm not very good with Google Earth, but there it is. There's the bird's eye view of it. I mean, it looks beautiful. Let's go and have a look. Yeah. So it's looks like a nice sort of estate. Also, I just want to say there, just remind us, like, her parents had said, everything was working out for her. She had her dream job. She'd just moved into this new flat. She had friends. She was happy. What caused that? Maybe she did have a history of mental illness that we don't know about. But that is a real paranoia psychosis, isn't it? To think that 10 people are following you and they're going to kill you. And like somebody mentioned there in the chat, you're scared someone's going to kill you, so you kill yourself instead. If you're scared of dying, you're scared of dying, but you then do all those horrible things to yourself. Just doesn't make sense, does it? If you wanted to die, well, it's like I don't know. It's like, what, you're going to stop someone else killing you, so you'll kill yourself first. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, but yeah, I would love to sort of know more about her mental history. Bless her. Very, very sad. Anyway, let's go back to watching it. I'm rubbish with Google Earth, but when I looked at this earlier, I thought, God, that looks lovely. This was a new flat that she'd just moved into. She was supposed to be happy. She loved her job at the vets. She'd just got this, look, she's got a lovely view out there. This is anyway, it's here somewhere. It looks nice. She apparently was really, really happy, according to her parents. And then suddenly she got this paranoia about, this couple, these 10, at least gangs of 10 people following her, and she got the train and went to St Pancras. Why would she go to St Pancras? I honestly, literally don't understand that. Even if she had mental health problems, for God's sake, why would she go to St Pancras? And and that's another coincidence that Emma's wife, Ed, works in a hotel in St Pancras. Don't know if he still works there, but he did work there. Right, I think I'm on the wrong road here. Hang on. I'm looking for... Anyway. I told you I'm rubbish at Google thingy. But anyway, it's here somewhere. Kingside Drive, it says it can't be that there. I don't know exactly where it is, but this is the area that Google Earth takes me to anyway. Hi, so very strange, more strange circumstance. Now, as I say, all right, what are you making a noise for? You know, people have done it. People have stabbed themselves, but it's very unusual. I looked into it. There's so few cases, and normally, if somebody does do it to themselves, they stab themselves in the neck. That's all it takes. So she would know that more than anyone. And then there was the case that David was talking about in Scotland, but that was a mother and daughter stabbed each other. It wasn't really one person stabbing themselves. It was a mother and daughter supposedly stabbing each other. And, you know, again, who knows what happened at that inquest. So I've been in touch with the coroner for Ewelina. I keep saying Ewelina because it's a W, but it's pronounced a V. It's an Ewelina. Let's just go on to what we've done here. Let me just share a picture of Ewelina. Young girl with a whole life in front of her. You know, landed a dream job. Got a new flat, etc. And did that to herself, apparently. So let's have a look at this is all I was sent. All they've sent me is the record of the inquest. I may ask them for the summing up, you know, like that summing up of Nicola's inquest. That would be, it was very useful, that, and it was very interesting. I may write to these people again. I mean, they were very nice. They answered immediately, and I'm going to show you what they said. So they sent me the record of inquest, which is very short. Following investigation commenced on the 24th of May 2023 and an inquest opened on the 6th of June. So her inquest was actually held before Nicola's inquest, even though she died in May. Nicola died in January. Ewelina's inquest was held on the 6th of June, before Nicola's. At an inquest hearing at St Pancras Coroner's Court, concluding on the 23rd of October, heard before I. Potter, that's the name of the coroner, in the coroner's area for Inner North London, the following findings and determinations were made. Name of deceased, Ewelina Angelica Sasak. Medical cause of death, exsanguination from multiple sharp force injuries. So in other words, loss of blood. How and why and where, and for investigations, in what circumstances the deceased came by his or her death. Evina Sassak checked into the Staunton Hotel, London, on the late evening of 24th of April, so it's coming up to the anniversary of her death. She'd been in a state of distress from the preceding days. Hi, Nanielle. Late morning of 25th of April 2023, she locked herself into her hotel room and inflicted numerous deep and gaping wounds to her thighs, neck and arms with the intent of taking her own life. And despite efforts to save her life, she died a short time later. Conclusion of the coroner as to the death, suicide. Further particulars required by the birth and death registration. Date and place of birth, 29th of October 1992. I mean, she's just no age. She's only 4 years older than my son, and she was born, I don't know how to pronounce that, the name of the city, but in Poland, Wehero. Name and surname, Ewelina Angelica Sassak, female. Date and place of death, 25th of April 2023 at the Staunton Hotel. Now, she didn't actually die at the Staunton Hotel. I thought she was pronounced dead at hospital. And then this was her address. And it's signed by the coroner. And that is it. That is all they've sent me. But I may try and see if I can get the full summing up like I got from the Preston Crown Court about Nicola. That would be useful. Or maybe there's not much more to say. I don't know. But so very sad. So very sad for her parents. So her parents had to come from Poland for this inquest, and then it was just like, go home. And where is Ewelina's remains? What happened? Where was she buried? There's so much I don't know about Ewelina. I would like to investigate this more. I will one day. There's so many things to look at, aren't there? Not just in this case. There's so many different cases. You just never run out of cases, that's for sure. Okay. So one day we'll look into that a bit further. Hi, Yvonne. Okay. So that's about it from that. Didn't know, don't know much from the inquest of Ewelina. Couldn't find as much out. And as far as Nicola's concerned, we've got the officials summing up, and there is a chance, to get hold of the recording of the actual inquest, but then you're not allowed to reproduce it anyway, so I won't be able to, really tell you about it. All I'd be able to do would be answer questions. If you had questions, I could answer, with the official sort of, well, it's a tape recording, isn't it? But, I couldn't read it out to you or anything like that because you're not allowed to. It's against the law. So it's contempt of court, according to the coroner. Okay, so it's good, isn't it, to sometimes go through the details again and remind ourselves, because I think that is a case, particularly the Nicola Bully case, and then the Ewelina case just sort of ties into it somehow. These are cases that I don't think there will always be questions asked about them, and the Nicola Bully was such a huge interest, wasn't it? We had such a huge interest for people. Will it be in another couple of years people still talking about it the same, still not happy with the inquest verdict, still thinking there's more to it, etc.? But anyway, I've got so much information on it, and I will do this docu-series. I promise I will. When, and God knows. I was hoping to get, but you know what? News keeps happening, doesn't it? Talking of which, so we said that we'd have a look at this awful event in London. Because I can see a lot of you have mentioned it as you've come on into the chat. So obviously, especially for people who are in Britain, this is awful, isn't it? Because this is just quite reminiscent of the Australian attacks, isn't it? In the shopping centre and then in the church in Australia, that happened within a couple of days. What's going on with all these machete attacks, sword attacks? It's like, it seems almost common, and this is the guy. And a 14-year-old boy has died after being attacked by this guy. You know, it just, the size of that weapon, how terrifying. Right, I want to show you this. This is the moment that he was, well, let's read about it first, and then I'm going to show you the moment when he was arrested. So, yeah, a boy 14 has died after a man with a sword went on a rampage near Haynell tube station in northeast London. This is, you just think, well, you know, you're not safe anywhere. You cannot account for nutters like that suddenly. You know, where did he come from? Did he come out of a house? He's just walking with that massive sword. Did he come out of a house? Or you know, where did he get the sword from? Anyway, this will all come out, I suppose. So the poor boy has died. The 14-year-old boy has died. 2 police officers suffered significant injuries, with 2 other people taken to hospital. And the 36-year-old man, the twonk, if you like, who did this, he too is in hospital. So let's have a look at his arrest. So they're coming at him with the tasers, and he's got this massive sword. Quite a few of those police officers are ladies, which is nice to see. But, you know, this is what I always say. People can criticise the police all they like, but going into these sort of situations is terrifying. And 2 policemen were killed today, weren't they, over in America, shot going to arrest someone. You know, it's not nice being a policeman, really. No wonder nobody wants to do it. Let's watch that again. I won't talk through it this time. Wow, I mean, gosh, that is just terrifying, isn't it? And the thing is, yeah, the size of that sword. Where do people buy a sword like that? Why are people allowed to buy swords like that? You know, it's absolutely terrifying. It just seems to be getting more and more. I just don't even know what to say about it. I mean, of course, we don't know. We don't know, is this a domestic incident, if you like? You know, is he taking vengeance? Some sort of domestic reason? You know, like, was that 14-year-old boy who's died, was he known to him? You know, because you know what these men are like. Sometimes they'll go off and, you know, kill their own children and things. But I just don't know. I don't know. So, but, you know, why should anyone have a katana? Why? For martial arts, but to do what? Like, you know, I just horrible. So Katrina is saying the boy was a neighbour. I mean, had he just lost it, this guy? You know, we don't know yet, do we? Let me just see if I don't think there's any further update. Let me just check. So this, right, I'll show you that. We'll share this. This is the police statement about it. Hang on. Okay, look at the size of it. Good. So where's the police statement? Here's everything we know. So he read a statement so apparently the Chief Superintendent Stuart Bell reads a statement to the media. You'll be aware that a serious incident occurred here at this location this morning. Police and ambulance services were called and deployed to a number of casualties. It is with great sadness that I confirm that one of those injured, a 13-year-old boy, they said he was 14 originally, has died from their injuries. He was taken to hospital after being stabbed and sadly died a short while after. The child's family are being supported firstly by my local officers and now with some specialist officers. And everyone across the Met is keeping them in our thoughts at this unimaginably difficult time. The events of this morning are truly horrific, and I cannot even begin to imagine how those affected must be feeling. My thoughts are with the injured, their families, and the wider community as we all come to terms with what has happened and try to understand what's happened here. I know there will be clearly and understandably a desire for answers and an explanation as to what happened. Our investigation is in its very early stages, and my officers are working right now to establish the full facts as a priority, and we will share what we can when we can with the wider community and with yourselves. A 36-year-old is currently in custody. He was tasered here at the scene and arrested 22 minutes after the first call was made to police, shortly before 7 a.m. this morning. I want to confirm at present we do not believe there is an ongoing threat to the wider public, and we're not seeking any other persons. The incident does not appear to be linked to any act of terrorism. Oh, I've just read all that out and now found the video.
It is with great sadness that I confirm that one of those injured in the incident, a 13-year-old boy, has died from their injuries. He was taken to hospital after being stabbed and sadly died a short while after. The child's family are being supported firstly by my local officers and now with some specialist officers, and everyone across the Met is keeping them in our thoughts at this unimaginably difficult time. The events of this morning are truly horrific, and I cannot even begin to imagine how those affected must be feeling. My thoughts are with the injured, their families, and the wider community as we all begin to come to terms with what has happened and try to understand what has happened here. A 36-year-old is currently in custody. He was tasered here at the scene and arrested 22 minutes after the first call was made to police, shortly before 7 a.m. this morning. I want to confirm at present that we do not believe there is any ongoing threat to the wider public, and we're not seeking any other persons. The incident does not appear to be linked to any act of terrorism. We know now that during the incident, 5 people were injured, 3 members of the public and 2 of my local officers who were responding to the call. 2 of those members of the public remain in hospital. Thankfully, their injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The 2 Met police officers are also currently in hospital with wounds. Both require surgery and have significant injuries, but we believe at this stage that they were not life-threatening.
There you go. So that's what we know so far. I'm sure more details will come out, whether it was some sort of neighbours dispute or was it a domestic incident. Anyway. Right, so while we're on, and just to finish off, I'm just going to show you this Facebook post about Sebastian Rogers. So, you know, if you've been following the Sebastian Rogers case, there's been all this talk about this photo supposedly that was taken of him in Carolina, South Carolina or North Carolina, and it might have been Seth's sister who was with him, or or someone who knew Seth. And there's been rumour, Facebook, social media has been in meltdown about this photo of Sebastian. So I just want to show you what's popped up on Facebook 15 minutes ago. So this lady is called Vanessa Ryan Pryor, and she says, "This needs to stop. I am the blonde bun in the tan hoodie wearing sunglasses, standing behind Seth in the photo circulating around, comparing my earlobes and blonde bun to the stranger woman in the photo taken in what's claimed to be North Carolina. The photo of Seth and I was from weeks ago at Rockland Recreation Area when Seth and I were standing outside of his truck speaking with a canine handler at a search for Sebastian. Because it was Because it was unkind of me to state negative comments about this woman in pink, I hit a wall of frustration and anger at the attacks and accusations that have been made towards me today. I apologise deeply. I am not that person. I made a poor choice by speaking about this stranger in a negative light." So what has she done? She must have said, "Oh, she looks nothing like this other person." 1. Compare earlobes all day. Our ears look nothing alike. All my earlobes are accounted for in the attached photos to help you out with your comparison of earlobes. 2. I was wearing sunglasses that day, not glasses, unlike the photo of the lady in pink, wearing what appears to be transition lenses of some sort. 3. I have no idea who the woman in pink is, but just from the pic it looks like she's probably 10 to 15 years older than me. Just an observation, not a negative comment. 4. I have what appears to be 10 times the amount of hair she has. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's ridiculous. Photo of my hair down for reference. Again, not negative. I just have a ton of hair and our hair is different. 5. You can't see from the sliver of my face and bum, but my chin and the lady in pink are very different. 6. I'm wearing my husband's tan hoodie in the pic of Seth and I. 7. Seth wasn't saying my name out of respect for my privacy, and I appreciate that, but people are making serious accusations against me and Seth on nonsense. And that is not okay. Most importantly, I realise that all of us are collectively grasping at straws here. In this case, grasping for blonde buns and earlobes because we want to find Sebastian. However, this is so far-fetched, it's ridiculous. To assert that this woman and Seth know each other purely based on a poorly taken photo of the sliver of my profile and our earlobes is absolutely a waste of time and distracts from finding Sebastian. Now can we move on and focus on Sebastian, not blonde buns and earlobes that look nothing alike? She's sort of making a little bit of a joke of it though, but it's not funny, is it? But anyway, never mind. Okay. So let's have a look at her photos then. So it's not her. She says it's not her, nothing to do with her. I don't. But some people have said, I don't know. Do you know what? I'm just sick of all that, to be honest. Let me see if I can find anything else about it. It must have been debunked, because if the FBI looked at it, or whoever's looking at it, and they found that that was Sebastian, there's nothing. Can't see anything. Maybe something will come up, because of course now in America it's daytime, isn't it? So something might come up overnight, but I can't see anything at the moment. Any new news about it at the moment? I'm sure if there was any new news about it, JLR will have been on with it. But yeah, no, I'm not swapping emails anymore, Lady Dog Lover, because there was a little bit of an incident. So I'm sorry, but I'm not. There must be another way you can do it. But no, I'm not swapping any emails. No, sorry. If you feel like you need to contact, you've got to find another way, I'm afraid. But I'm not doing that anymore. Sorry. No, I'm not doing that. Sorry. Not swapping any more emails, just to let you know. So you have to find another way to do that. No, I'm not passing. Everyone keeps talking about me passing on emails. I'm not doing that anymore. So sorry, I can't help there. Not, you have to find another way to do that. Okay, so that's it. So I hope you've found the video interesting. To be honest, it was nice to. God, it sounds awful, and I don't mean obviously anything against Sebastian, because I hope against hope that Sebastian is found. But it was just getting all too crazy, just like the Nicola Bully case does as well. And in the end, you don't know what to think. There's just so much, and none of it makes any sense again. And it's all like all them, all their appearing on YouTube and just all of it. It was just depressing me, to be honest, because I feel this boy Sebastian is just getting lost in all of it. But maybe now they'll get on to actually talking about Sebastian and finding Sebastian instead of what. And I'll tell you what, if that photo has been like planted, if you like, or made by artificial intelligence or photoshopped or whatever, what sort of a person would do that? Who would do that sort of thing? What is wrong with people that they feel that they have to do things like that? And spread rumours, like in the Nicola Bully case, so many rumours spread deliberately. I've just read, they're just crazy things that people say on these Facebook pages, etc. Just an anonymous member says this, and then people go, oh, is that right? Just like, no, it's not. It's like, you know, you cannot, you have got to find some basis for everything. You know, you can't do, you know, I could say anything here and now, and then you can bet that it'd be around all the other YouTube channels or over all the Facebook posts, without anyone checking it out, you know. Anyway, maybe that's just the way people are, but when you've got a missing boy of 15 and someone's putting out, if that turns out to be a fake photo, what sort of person would do that? I just honestly just don't understand. Okay, so hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you. As always, I put my ticker on. Thank you for watching, for liking, subscribing, and especially thank you to my members. Thank you to all of you that supported my channel in any way. Thank you so much. But I'm going to go now. I haven't actually had my dinner yet, I've realised, but I'm just going to go and have some toast. I'm trying to turn that off. I can see I'm tired now because I'm struggling to find what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, so remember to look after you, because you are the most important person. And remember to live and love wisely, carefully. And I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow with some other mad news that's going on. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. But thank you for being here with me. Thank you.